Welcome to The Bridge, a show about photojournalism at Sacred Heart University. Today we are going to be highlighting 4 students who received high praise from their professor Richard Falco for their work. Colleen Crowley, Danielle Nevel, Tom Spirito, and Salam Hasnain. We go now to Professor and photojournalist Richard Falco for a word on photojournalism itself.
Today we are so inundated by images that we've come to a point that we've become either numb or quite indifferent to them. And it is the power of the image always that has been a critical element and a critical component that changes the way we evolve as a society, particularly the images related to photojournalism. I've often told my students that a photojournalist is far more than just a photographer. He or she has many, many faces, that of the sociologist, the historian, the psychologist, the artist. All of these are rolled up into one, and they give us the ability to transform that single image into something that is powerful, that affects us, that affects the society, that can create social change. It can actually become a catalyst for social change. Documentary photography often is the evidence upon which truth rests. And in that, we find that these images, these photographs, become witness to their times. We can start first with the great photographer and social reformer Jacob Riis, who used photographs to enlighten the society to the ills of the poor. We can move forward and look at the great work of Eugene Smith, who literally set the bar for photojournalism, who told us how we use photographs to impact society, to change the way people think. And we've seen this over and over again. Photographers such as James Nakway, Steve McCurry, and so many others have changed the way we see our world. Look at the civil rights movement. The images that everyone knows that have become iconic are the simple photographs taken by a photographer named Charles Moore. No one knows who he is by name, but everybody knows those photographs. Those photographs led to the legislation that changed the laws in America that protect civil rights. In the last few years, over and over again, we're seeing the development of what is known as the citizen journalist. People who are using their cell phones to document what is going on where journalists can't get access. We have seen it with the Arab Spring, where the images taken by a cell phone changed something which was just protests into a movement that changed the entire spectrum of society across Northern Africa and the Middle East. Again, we see even how the cell phone today in America has changed the way people address issues. We're seeing it with evidence created to the actions of police, documented through the simple act of a student or a bystander photographing what happened through their cell phone. I think as we look at the power of the image, we cannot negate the value and the impact it has on our society.
Hi guys, we're here with Danielle Nevel, who is introducing her new photo collage that is now in the Martiri building. So what got you interested in becoming a photojournalist?
I like the idea of expressing yourself and expressing information in a different way. I think it's interesting the way people have a different reaction when they see a photojournalism story versus an article about it. So
what are you calling these series of photos you have?
So this series, I call it What It Takes because it's about struggling with ADHD and how you go from basically what you're given to completing your assignment.
And why'd you work on this piece of work?
So I worked on this because it's an issue close to my heart. I have ADHD. I struggle with focus. And the photo series kind of shows that. I am looking in the mirror, I'm seeing something I don't like because I have this illness and it makes me feel like I'm not as good as somebody else.
Mm-hmm. What type of awareness do you hope to bring with these photos?
I think that this is an issue that most people see as a joke or don't take a person seriously if they have ADHD. I think a person with ADHD is capable of doing things a normal person can do, and sometimes they do things better. They just do it in a different way.
Yeah. How'd you go about getting these photos?
So for these photos, I used a laptop and I propped it up and I put a white screen on and turned off all the lights and I just adjusted the camera speeds to accurately get motion or stillness and just get the light to hit the way it should. So like for this photo, I propped it up on a toilet because I was in the bathroom, and I wanted to show how heavy it feels and how lost you can feel with ADHD trying to complete an assignment. It's just something so simple, and it's just hard. You don't know what to do, and then like here it's like you're conflicted. You don't know how to go about this. This is your life.
Did you have any difficulties capturing these photos?
Yeah, especially because of the water I used in the bathtub. I wanted it to like show like it was raining down, kind of like really hard, really heavy feeling. And it was just kind of hard to get water to show up on camera. So I tried to make my hair look as wet as possible, get certain drips to happen. And like for this photo, like I think this one is a really interesting one because it shows like the conflict between like focusing and like trying to like get distracted.
And why did you decide to take these photos?
I think it's important for me to get my own creative outlet and also to just share with those around me the struggles that go on and like people don't really see. It's hard for like my roommates or family to understand because they don't go through it, and I think this definitely showed them what I go through.
And do you have a favorite project that you've worked on?
This is actually my favorite project, just because it was the most fun to take and it was just the easiest idea to come for. So, yeah.
Okay. Thanks for joining us on The Bridge. We'll be right back.
Salam Hasnain is a student here at SHU who comes from Palestine. Her powerful portfolio is informed with her great passion about politics and humanity.
Welcome back to The Bridge. I'm Marissa Taché, and with us now we have Salam Hasnain. Hello, Salam. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Of course. Can you tell me a little about your experience with photojournalism and what got you started in this creative art?
Yeah, I actually had the passion to be a journalist since I was a kid because my whole life was about having a political situation, problems in Palestine back home. And then my bachelor was also journalism, and I got into television and radio actually, not only photos. And then I said, okay, somebody is supposed to talk about what's happening in Palestine and show the true experience that everybody's living there. And I wanted to improve myself and put the line straight to what I'm gonna do, and that's what got me to do also my master's in journalism, and I'm here in Sacred Heart.
Very nice. So you really want to expose the true stories about what's going on back home and just in general?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the videos that I did. For example, my final project back home when I was in my bachelor was about why the number of Christians is decreasing in Palestine. Like now they are only 2% of the population, where before they were the majority. Like I come from Bethlehem, where it's like where Jesus was born, and it's supposed to be about Christians. I showed like the contrast between how they founded some cities in Palestine and now they don't even exist because the majority of them just run away and immigrate from like the political situation that's happening there, and they don't want to be oppressed anymore, so they decide to immigrate and go to other places where they have better opportunities. And here I got the DSLR from my program, and I'm always holding it everywhere I go.
Yeah.
Like it's always with me because you don't know what's gonna happen,
You
and
have to
maybe
capture every moment. Yeah.
you can document like the moment that you don't know what's happening. You have your camera, so you take photo, and it could be amazing.
Yeah. So do you find any struggles with taking photos at all, like lighting? Like, do you find anything difficult for you to master?
Yeah, actually my professors say it's the same as taking videos, but I think it's more difficult because it's like a one moment that if you don't take the photo, it just disappear.
Yeah.
So you have to adjust the settings to wherever the photo you're taking. And I'm still learning. It's actually not that easy to know like the mathematics of the camera, like the ISO, the shutter,
Yeah,
the
there's
lighting.
a lot that goes into it, more than we see when we view a picture.
Yes.
So, yeah, can we see some of your work? I know we have some. And can you explain a little about what you're doing with the pictures that we have?
Sure. Well, this is the Palestinian kufiya. That's how people dress it when they go to demonstrations against the Israeli occupation, basically. Like, they cover their face, they only keep their eyes, so like if somebody takes photos of them or capture them in news, they wouldn't be taken or arrested by the Israeli soldiers. So I thought about showing this, and like my model had perfectly Palestinian eyes.
Yeah, this is a gorgeous photo, and you captured it so well.
Thanks.
Yeah.
This
love it.
too, like this is how people usually look like when they go to a demonstration. Like, well, your jeans and your scarf, like the Palestinian kufi around on your head.
Very nice.
This is basically captures the fall in the States.
Yeah.
Actually, we don't have the change in color in Palestine,
Oh,
so
no.
I'm always amazed of
Yeah.
how like it's red and brown and orange and all the colors. And this was like in my backyard. I saw like our tree falling off all
Yeah.
the time, so I was like,
I love
I'm
it. I
gonna
just want to
take a
like take
photo.
it and make it the background on my laptop. Like, it's
You can
beautiful.
have it. That was in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
New York City is always busy with people, and like this guy was sitting there with his family, and suddenly the whole pigeons just like rounded him,
And you just happened to be there.
yeah, exactly. So I took my camera, took a picture. That's when you document for the moments.
And yeah, you captured it so beautifully with the bird flying in, and
Yeah.
it's great.
Churches for me means something. When I'm in a church, it gives me that feeling. I wouldn't say I'm a believer, but it's just the culture that I lived in, maybe, and coming from Bethlehem. So this was in a Reformed church in Brooklyn, and this was in Woodstock. Woodstock is the town that I wish to live in one day, Woodstock, New York.
Yeah.
So I was just wandering around holding my camera, and this lady happened to make sewing, and it was amazing. She does amazing work, and I was like, can I take a photo of you doing this? Like, this is old fashioned, like
Yeah.
it doesn't happen all the time, and it was amazing. She was just in the street having to do like all the scarves and jackets that she does.
Yeah. The color and everything in your work is so great, and you can just look at a picture and like see a story behind it. So I think it's all really beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So is there anything else you want to tell us about photojournalism and, you know, what you hope your photos will raise awareness to the people viewing them?
Yeah. Now I have this around me, like these are the surroundings. I love them. I love what I'm doing. I love the photos that I took. Like, nature expressed me, music expressed me. I also did a project in one of my classes about the adventure park. I don't know if you know the adventure park around in Bridgeport, because I love adventure and I love climbing trees and stuff. So I'm now doing like dealing with the surroundings around me and taking photos of whatever I have passion for. And I'm still new, I'm still learning, like also hiking, like one of the things that I love doing, so I take photos of whatever I love doing. But what I have in mind is much deeper than this. I want to defend my country. I want to show the true stories that are happening in my country that mostly people don't know. One of the reasons why I talked about Christians is because usually people don't know that there are Christians still in Palestine, which is not true. Like, I have been there my whole life, so yeah, I try to get the stories that people usually don't know. And
expose the truth behind things that people normally wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Salam, for
You're
being with
welcome.
us today and sharing all the wonderful information about your home and raising awareness to what's going on back there. So thank you. Thanks for joining us at the bridge, and we'll be right back.
Correspondent Marissa Tache met Tom Spierto in the studio to look at his portfolio.
Welcome back to the bridge. I'm Marissa Tache, and with us now is Tom Spierto. Hi, Tom. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Can you tell me a little about yourself and what got you interested in photojournalism?
I mean, I've always had an interest in photography ever since high school. Had some classes there, but now going through like grad school, I've had the classes and the equipment to, display my creativity and skills like that.
Yeah, so you not only take photos, do you take videos as well?
Sure, yeah, I do videos too.
So is there anything that inspires you to capture? I mean, when you're out, do you see something and you just want to capture it, or what's your inspiration behind your work?
I think just people and learning all about people and, photographing them in their element and what they're all about and their background, I think is really kind of cool to make a story of.
Yeah, so expose people's stories and show the truth behind like their everyday lives.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I think we have some of your work. And I'd like to know a little bit more about what inspired you behind certain pieces.
Well, this was part of a project that we had to do called A Day in the Life, and this is breakfast. This is one of my friends, and he's making breakfast, and I had to make it creative. So I got in a chair and at different angles, and I think it worked well with the lighting and stuff.
I think it looks really good. Very healthy.
Yeah, yeah. This is just a headshot I did for class, and it was actually here in the Martyr building. And I thought the lighting was really good on the brick, and it kind of matched her shirt well. And we just had her look at it, a different way, and I think it looks kind of nice.
Yeah, no, it's really good, and I see like the focusing and the background.
This is actually a deacon in Bridgeport. He works at St. Margaret's Shrine on Park Ave, and I just called him up and I said, I'd like to photograph you and your element in the church, and he said, and he's all about it, and they came out really well.
Yeah, I think it's so beautiful because you see him and then kind of
You
in his
have-
element.
yeah, that in the
really, really
background.
nice.
This is him again. This is actually him in the shrine with the bridge outside. It's beautiful. It's a hidden gem. It's amazing.
Wow.
And he loves it. He takes pride in it.
Yeah, it's really, really nice.
This is actually a project that we had to do last week for class, where we had to use lighting strobes, and we had to do like a prop photo shoot.
Yeah.
And the only prop we had was a camera.
Cameras.
So we kind of made it work with the best of it. And I love the way, it says Canon there and the lens. I think it looks really nice.
Yeah, I could definitely see it in like an ad for Canon.
Oh yeah,
Love
for
it.
sure.
So do you find any difficulties with lighting, or capturing this with shadows?
Oh yeah.
Do you find that difficult?
The lighting has to be just right, especially like when you're trying to expose a face or the object that you're photographing, or even the camera itself. There's so many tools and techniques that you have to get just right to take the
Capture
perfect
the
picture.
moment.
Yeah.
Very nice.
This is another photo shoot. It's probably the best one I did at the Merritt Canteen down in Main Street. I got to go like behind the kitchen and photograph their food for them.
Did they give you any free samples?
I got a free meal out of it.
Really?
Yeah, free
That's
dinner.
cool.
So it was awesome just to work behind there and then play with all the angles too, because the lighting is kind of crazy in the kitchen. Just to see how it all came out was a lot of fun.
These are great photos. A lot of students would definitely like them because they can relate to the food there and going there late at night.
It's great food.
Yeah.
And then customers too. I got customer shots, which was really nice. So when you lay it all out like a story, it really comes all together and see what these people are all about and stuff.
I feel like you're kind of a foodie. Like you like to capture the food and everything. Yeah, no, it's really great. I love your work. So what do you think you want to, do you want to inspire anyone with your work, or what are you really trying to put out to the public with your photos?
I think just to, what's a way of saying it? Just expose what they're all about, and like behind the scenes, like the Merit, like all those people, and like their stories, and telling the world like what they're all about.
Yeah, and you take really simple like elements and make them something like beautiful with your angles and the way you capture it. So great job. Thank you so much for being with us. Thanks for joining us at the bridge, and we'll be right back.
Next, I sat down with photojournalist Colleen Crowley to talk about her latest project. She spent some time documenting the preparations for an orchestra's performance. Hi, we're here with Colleen Crowley, a photojournalist, and we're going to continue the questions with her. So what got you interested in becoming a photojournalist?
Well, I'd always loved photography. I used to steal my dad's camera, and he would get so frustrated that eventually he just kind of gave it to me. But I really didn't start having an interest in photojournalism until I started studying journalism and writing in college. And throughout my studies, I realized that images are so powerful in a way that words aren't. They really do convey so much, and they make you have such a reaction that the written word, it's not so immediate. So that is why I love photojournalism. It's just really powerful, and you can say so much in one picture.
So what are you calling this series of photos?
Well, originally it wasn't really titled, but if I was going to call it anything, it would probably just be the orchestra.
So why did you do this piece of work?
I actually started out college by studying music. I have been studying vocal performance since I was about 14. Obviously, that changed, but I still love music, and I wanted that to come through. And, classical music isn't something that a lot of, the lay person has access to, or they certainly don't often get to see the background of, rehearsals, performances, and what goes into it. So that's what I wanted to convey with this.
So what type of awareness do you hope to bring about through these photos?
I would say that I just want people to know what goes into music and actually creating the sound. There's a lot of personal time that you have to put into it, and a lot of these musicians that I photographed are not necessarily working in music. They're teachers, they're lawyers, a few of them are professional musicians, but all of them put in the man hours outside of rehearsal, in addition to their job and their families. And so it really is, it takes a lot to be a classical musician, and I wanted that to come through, and that's also, part of what I did.
So how did you go about getting these photos?
Well, first I had to obviously get permission to photograph the orchestra. It kind of came down to the wire. There were only a few more rehearsals left before performance, and they finally said yes. So that was a huge relief, but it was close for a second. And so I think I had 2 or 3 rehearsals that I was able to photograph. The first one, I was just introduced by the head of the orchestra. I told them what I was doing, and a lot of them were on board, and they were totally, willing to participate. And then from there, I just, was crept about, kind of, stuck to the shadows, if you will, and photographed them. And I tried to look for, personal moments with the musician and their instruments, because there's kind of like a relationship there. And then I also looked for the visuals of, all the music stands and the bows of all the string instruments. So, yeah.
So were there any difficulties in capturing these photos?
Yeah, there definitely were some difficulties. You don't want to be distracting when you're photographing people doing work. And so I tried to be as unobtrusive as possible, kind of, tiptoeing around, making sure I didn't disrupt them at their rehearsals. And then also when I was photographing the concert, obviously I couldn't go on stage with them, so I had to be really aware of where I wanted to take my pictures and what kind of pictures I was getting. I was allowed to go into the audience, so you'll see a few audience shots, but I had to plan that out in advance and kind of know where exactly I was going to stand. So, yeah.
So why did you decide to take this series of photos?
I guess I decided to take these ones because, as I said, there is that personal relationship between musician and instrument. And I wanted to show that as well as the, what goes into the performance, the routine of, warming up and all that stuff and rehearsing. So, yeah.
So what was your favorite project that you've worked on?
That would probably have to be my senior project. I have grown up in Fairfield County, and it's obviously a very affluent area, but I knew that there was a huge gap between the haves and the have-nots. And so I wanted to show that, and so I also wanted my project to have some kind of meaning outside of just being a project. So I chose homelessness in Fairfield County, and I, went to a specific shelter for 4 months, and got to know my subjects, and it was a really eye-opening experience. It really challenged my beliefs, and kind of puts you out of your comfort zone in a little bit, but in a good way, because I learned a lot from it. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Hopefully you enjoyed the show and now have a deeper understanding for the passion that photojournalism students at Sacred Heart have. Until next time, I'm Dan, and this has been The Bridge. Please join in next time at WHRTV for more.